and he lands on his left knee and lands awkwardly. He's holding the brace that supports his knee. Embiid is up. He's limping to the locker room, and a monumental situation for the Sixers, at least for now.
And that'll do it. Game number 1 goes to the Knicks, 111 to 104 here at the Garden.
And a good Monday afternoon, everybody. Sean Brace, Daily Ticket with you here, riding solo. A lot to discuss from the weekend. And, of course, at the top of everybody's minds, Game 2 at the Garden. And as you just heard, Tom McGinnis right there, Sixers Radio Network, giving you the main course, Joel Embiid's health. And that's what it comes down to. If Joel Embiid is not 100%, this team cannot win. That's it. We have seen year after year after year what this team looks like without Joel Embiid on the floor, and ho-hum, another postseason where we are dealing with it yet again. And as a Sixers fan, I can't sit here and tell you how to feel about this. I'm not going to be the guy that says, oh, well, you can't say that about Joel Embiid because he still scored 29 on a bum leg, because we've been there and done this. If you listen to this show, you know how I feel about this. This has been going on all season long, of course, dating back to what took place last year with Boston, and more importantly, what we've been through over the past few weeks with the hoping and the praying that Joel Embiid can come back after 8 weeks and still be a guy that you can count on, that will be 100% healthy when needed. And that's not the case. It's clearly not the case. So I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on a Sixers team that's going to go up there tonight and beat the New York Knicks. And they might be able to. But what are we talking about? Because I know damn this much. Sixers aren't on the level of half the teams I watch play. I know we wanted to make this rosy picture out over the Milwaukee Bucks. They were better than them. Well, guess what? If Dame goes out there and does what he did in game 1, move out the way. Boston, all the talk about you're resting your players, is that a good thing? Well, all they did was come out and I think 16-2, 17, 18-2. Never really worried about that game against the Miami Heat. And all in all, Sixers struggled against the Miami Heat in that game, right? Where they needed to win at home. And because of some bricking for chicken, we're able to turn it around. That's what I mean. So it's like, as a Sixers fan, where are you right now? Because I'm tired. I feel like Al Pacino in Scent of Woman. I'm tired. You go out there up to the Garden. You got a 13-point lead at one point. I thought they were winning, even without Joel Embiid being 100% healthy. I thought for sure they were coming away with this victory because Tyrese Maxey was doing everything he possibly could. But it's the NBA playoffs. Runs are going to happen. And most of the time, if you don't have your best players out there and you're going up against a team that's gritty, that dominates on the boards, like the Knicks, it's going to be tough to win in their ballpark. And it was. And, of course, they made every shot down the stretch in the fourth quarter. They didn't miss. But that's the Knicks. It's a good team. They're the 2 seed for crying out loud. Are they a weak 2 in years past? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not. I just don't think the Sixers are as good as advertised in a lot of people's minds. I know for sure they're not with Joel Embiid on one damn leg. And that's where we're at. That's the facts of the matter. You can go ahead and spin whatever stats you want or belief that this is what they look like with Joel Embiid on the floor, whatever players, or you could possibly get more production from Tobias or Reed. Maybe you change things up from game 1 to game 2. It is a 7-game series. Yes, I know ebbs and flows, but we've been there. We've done this. And I'm tired. We're going to enter a hell of a conversation this offseason. Because mentally, I'm already there. Last year, it was the discussion of what could you do with Joel Embiid? What do you do? And I said, you're out of your mind if you trade him. Now you have to entertain phone calls, or else this is going to be our future year after year after year. We've already been through it for 5 straight. You want to continue this? There are going to be some really difficult decisions being made this offseason. Do you got to completely hit the reset button and revamp this team? I don't know. But I do know this. The big man is hurt every single postseason. And you're not going to win an NBA championship. You're not going to get to an Eastern Conference Finals. You're not going to get out of a second round if your main player is on one damn leg. My eyes opened up during the All-Star break when Joel Embiid said that he would love to be in a slam dunk competition, but his knees can't do it anymore. That's when I said, okay, well, if he knows that, then I think we all should start to come to realize that Joel Embiid is never going to be 100%, never going to be that guy that we can count on. And that sucks. Because far and away, he is so talented, so dominant, but you have to be healthy. And here we go again. Winnable basketball game on the road, game 1 against the New York Knicks. And it's like, it's not even, Joel Embiid's health is number 1, right? But even on one leg, he goes out there and gives you 29. Did he struggle in the fourth quarter? Of course. Does this team mentally all over the place? I don't know. I would assume if you see Joel Embiid, you're like Kyle Lowry told us a couple weeks ago that, yeah, you know what we're missing? A 7'2" center. Once we get him back, look out. Like, these guys know this. And what does he do? He goes up, one-handed dunk, throws it down. Everybody's jaws on the ground. Sixers bench explodes. We're coming away with a game 1 victory. And then he's done. He goes back to the locker room. Miraculously comes walking back out like Walt Frazier. It was great. But clearly nowhere near to a 100% Joel Embiid. And here we go again. I'm tired. 6-point dogs tonight on the road in the Garden. Real simple if they want to go ahead and make it a ball game. You better be able to just get gritty. You got to get nasty down low. And it's not about Kyle Lowry. It's not about Tyrese Maxey. It's not even about Joel Embiid. It's everybody else on the damn floor. Out-rebounded the way that they were. And I know coming in, the Knicks, number 1 rate, I get it, all that on the offensive glass. Well, that's something we knew. That's something that we discussed last week. What do the New York Knicks do well? They're like a 90s NBA team. Tom Thibodeau, I think, just took last place as far as players voting on a coach who they like to play for. The things being said about him, oh, he's too tough. He'll play you 48 minutes if he has to. That's the mentality that the Knicks are possessing this series. Can the Sixers match it? And in game 1, I saw 3 players that were ready for battle. Lowry, Maxey, Embiid, everybody else. Put up some sort of fight. Or don't play them, Nick. That's the next thing I would say to Nick Nurse. You just stop playing Tobias Harris. Because mentally, he's not there. Physically, athletically, he is not producing. Just allowing guys to run by him, get offensive rebounds. Josh Hart has to be licking his chops to get back out there. Josh Hart. I know he's a Villanova player. I know he's a nice guy. I know we want to pull for him. Josh Hart looked like he was, I don't know, Daryl Dawkins out there. Just pulling down boards. He's been doing it all season long. I get it, but this is the postseason. The 82-game preseason is over. Isn't that what the DraftKings read says? And the Milwaukee Bucks tweeting it out yesterday and everybody getting in their feelings. The regular season doesn't mean a damn thing. We know that. This is the best of the best. And I'm worried about this Sixers team tonight. I am. Because, again, they're going to roll Joel Embiid out there. Is he going to be 80%? Is he going to be in and out of the lineup? If Maxey gives you 50, possibly I could see this team coming away with a victory tonight. Other than that, here we go again. I'm tired. So tired. So tired because it is the same damn song and dance all over again. This season starts in October. Postseason gets going in April. Year in, year out, book it. And literally the last 5 years, I've been in Myrtle Beach watching a team lose in the playoffs, being eliminated most of the time. This time, it just happened to be game one. Fantastic trip to Myrtle Beach. The boys were awesome. The weather was incredible. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't on Sunday when we left. And as you saw down there at the RBC in Hilton Head, that's essentially what came through Myrtle Beach, of course. And they had to postpone it and pick it back up today. And ho-hum, Scotty Scheffler wins again. My goodness. Just on an insane run. We'll get into that a little bit later in this show as well. But right from the jump, I'm curious to know where Sixer fans are because nothing is out of bounds at all. Except for Sean Barnard, who says it's still Sixers and 6. Sean, I love you. Come on, man. Even you got to see it. Even you got to realize that if Joel Embiid isn't 100%, and isn't that what we said, right? Isn't that what we said the last 2 months, or excuse me, he came back April 2nd. So from the time he went down the end of January to the time he came back April 2nd, all I remember is Mark Henry Jr., host of the Tough Cover radio show on Saturday, telling me nobody's going to win without their number one player. All right. Well, if your number one player is 70%, is that enough? Not against the New York Knicks. Not on the road in the Garden. It's just not. And you could sit here and say that's unfair to Joel. You're asking a lot for him. Yeah, it's postseason. It's his 11th season in the league, 8th, 9th year playing. This is what, the fifth straight year? No, because they got eliminated that first year in the bubble. So that wasn't even the semis. And they're very well looking at a first-round exit here. So it'd be 6 straight years of just a postseason run that doesn't even register. Maybe, hopefully, a Game 7 against Boston. That's cute. Maybe a Game 7 against Toronto on the road. That was a little better than cute. That was their best run. We'll see. Sixer fans love to get you involved at Fox PHL Gambler on socials tonight. 6-point spread. I do see some sharps out there. I do have some people that are NBA players and people that I respect their opinion, and they say 6 is too many. That's why I'm not really ready to say that this is all done this evening. It's a 7-game series. I hope there's some adjustments. I hope that Nick Nurse paused the tape with Josh Hart running circles around Tobias Harris in the lane, pushing Paul Reed out of the way. Just what is going on with this team? Put your ass into somebody, block them out, and get the rebound. I know it seems easier said than done, but they weren't even doing that. It was a disaster out there on the glass. And if you don't improve, this is what the Knicks do. It's going to be another blowout this evening. Maybe even worse than game 1. All right, we're off and running as far as NBA basketball is concerned. How about 7-1 ATS to the home teams? How many did you cash? My goodness, 8-0 straight up. Home teams, all won. A lot of them were easy, too. A lot of them were just, yep. Bet the home team, game 1, crowd in it, and it's over before it even got started. Mainly yesterday with the Clippers and the Dallas Mavericks, 109-97. As far as putting the Sixers to the side, the most disappointing performance so far from game 1, clearly the Dallas Mavericks. And I don't know what to make of this whole Kawhi Leonard nonsense. Again, I'm tired of Joel Embiid Clipper fans don't have it. Like, there's no such thing as LA Clipper fans. But if you're a Kawhi Leonard fan, ever since that title run with Toronto, he clearly has just been dinged up. And a lot like Joel Embiid, clutch time, moments that you need him most, he's not available. I have no idea what's going on. Things are supposed to be on the up and up. Clearly they're not. He hasn't played in 10-plus games. Like, I think it was 10 games to close out the regular season. I didn't think Kawhi Leonard was playing game one. Jason Kidd, Kyrie Irving. I didn't hear Luka. But I know some of the other players on the Dallas Mavericks did think he was playing. And I don't understand that. And it really screams as an excuse more than anything. Game was over in the first quarter, 34-22 outscored. Dallas got to look themselves in the mirror. Because the Clippers are damn good, but clearly not the same team without Kawhi Leonard out there. Paul George is an absolute beast. He balled yesterday. They got a great team. But if they're not going to be fully loaded, I can't put them up there against the Denver Nuggets. Probably can't put them up there against OKC. Denver's a different story. And they're going to win again tonight because the Lakers just can't beat them. But disappointing performance from the Dallas Mavericks, where we're hoping some new blood, a team that has come on strong in the last 2 months, and then to go out there in game one and just lose it, play like dogs in that first half. I know they came back third quarter. Luka and Kyrie had some points, but miss me on that. Miss me. Surprising game of the night, though, OKC in New Orleans, 94-92, of course. SGA getting the big bucket in the late in the game. Really fun to watch. Dame turning back the hands of time to a point. You look at what the Pacers, no, Dame, of course, went off. But for me, more so in that game, the Pacers have not been the same in the second half of play. Just have not. So I thought that the Milwaukee Bucks, I know it came down to even money. I even said that I think it swung a little bit too much for me to pass on the Milwaukee Bucks in that series to win. I think it was -110 both ways. So the Bucks take game one, not over, but you have to, depending on what the health is with Giannis, you have to believe that Milwaukee will probably have the edge there. And then Boston just looks like that team that is destined for an Eastern Conference Finals. And of course, no matter who they go up against, they just are too explosive, too deep, and that home court is for real. Boston fans get after it. You could tell yesterday that was not going to be acceptable for them to come out, be flat against the Miami Heat team that they are far and away better than. 114-94 was your final score. That was a 14.5-point spread. There were times that you would sweat a big number like that, but for the most part, I didn't think you had much to worry about in that game. To Saturday's games, Minnesota looked really good against the Phoenix Suns, 120-95. And dude's incredible. He is clearly one of the top 3 faces for years to come in this league. Keep his head on his shoulders. Realize that, you know what, you can make a name for yourself. Legacy, because he was a #1 overall pick. Athleticism for days. Highlights every single time he takes the floor. But there's got to be more for him. And I don't know if Minnesota's going to get it out of him. Not saying this year, but years to come. But I hope he realizes that he could go down as one of the greats. In Cleveland, Orlando, we're not even wasting time with. Cavs did take game one in that one. And in Denver, as I said, pretty easy win over the Lakers. Your thoughts on game ones and more so from the gambling perspective, anything there for you game 2 at home? I won't sit here and blame you one bit if you take every home team. I won't. Now, I don't think it's as easy as snap your fingers, you're going to go 7-1 again in game 2s here just by backing the home squads. No. But what we saw with the crowds getting into it, of course, you know, some calls going your way when you're playing on the home floor, all that is rolled into it. And all we're trying to do is pick winners here. So 7-1 ATS, home squads right out in game one. Pretty damn impressive to me. Want to know your thoughts on that one and where you're taking it for game two. Of course, the Sixers and Knicks are at the top of everybody's mind. Sean Barnard's going to have his crack at 4:05. Speaking of crack, he still says Sixers in 6. I love him. Luke Arcaini is coming up, and he just gave me a little thought here. Sixers don't have the juice. Joel Embiid will never be under center for the rest of his career, and he's not 100%. Sixers won't beat a good team in a 7-game series. I totally agree with you, Luke. It just sucks when we got to watch it, and we got to go through it. And I thought, hey, Joel Embiid's out there giving it his all. We're going to play gritty, play physical. You know what? You want to start pushing us around underneath? Let's go. Don't know if the Sixers have the dogs for it. We'll see. This is the part of a 7-game series. Ebbs and flows. Are you in it? Or is this going to be 0-2 coming back to Philly at the Wells Fargo Center where that pressure will be way too much for the Sixers to handle? They're down 0-2. This series is done. And I don't want to hear anybody tell me different. Not over yet. This is a big, big game. And dare I say must win on the road at MSG game 2, but I am not holding my breath. 23 offensive rebounds on Saturday night. They grabbed 22 more total rebounds than the Sixers. Just inexcusable. Like, are you winning? It's a playoff game. In their house, at the Garden. And you get pushed around. You get bullied by some of those no-namers. I'm watching the game with a bunch of dudes. Like, who the hell is that guy for the Knicks? He just pulled down 7 offensive rebounds in the first half. Pretty good player. Insane. But it's the Sixers, so we're going to live and die by them all day. One thing that I would say for hope is the fact that they did go off, and I'm talking about the Knicks here as far as 3 points are concerned. They're not going to go out there and shoot the way that they did. I even think it came down a tick, if I'm not mistaken. It was like 48%, somewhere around there. 45% they shot, 16 for 35. Seamus Clancy had this at phillyvoice.com. That's the highest 3-point shooting percentage the Knicks have had in a playoff game in the last 24 years. Yeah, they shot the lights out. Josh Hart is not that guy. What do you have, 4 in the fourth quarter? So hopefully that's not the case. But if it's a tough game, you got to get that tough bucket. You got to get that tough board. And if Joel Embiid is not out there, will the Sixers be able to prevail in that moment? I'm going to bet against that. I'm going to say the Knicks win tonight. 6, 1 too many for my liking, so it's a complete stay away. But I wouldn't talk you down if you're feeling the Knicks -6, because ultimately it's about winning that basketball game. If you don't think a team can win, then don't take it. And I think they will win tonight. So -6, if you want to roll with that, good luck. I think that's 1 too many for my liking. But we'll discuss it on today's Daily Ticket. As I said, Luke Arcaini coming up on the other side. The Phillies, what are they, 6 in a row? I think 6 in a row, right? Swept the Rockies, didn't they? And, of course, the White Sox over the weekend. Yeah, could we play the White Sox more? That's one of the worst baseball teams I've ever seen. Their record reflects it. I think they have 2 wins on the season. But the Benny Hill music, they look like little leaguers out there. I don't even know half of their players. Pitching's atrocious. Defense, it was even worse. The guy in right field, he didn't want to catch the ball. That's a bad franchise right there. I think people are talking about sell the team for the last few years. That's fine. They need a hell of a lot more work than that. You could sell the team, but you got to get some players in there. Change of attitude, the whole 9. They wanted no part of any of those games. Yesterday, I watched the game in more detail than the first 2, but from my timeline, I have a funny feeling that a lot was the same in the games 1 and 2 in that series. So we'll talk about the Phillies. They're back in action this evening, coming up here at 6:40, taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Ranger Suarez, Ranger Day, baby. Let's go. Let's see what he's got cooking today after what? his complete game performance the last time out. Minus 108 on DraftKings Sportsbook, taking on Hunter Green and the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll talk some MLB. We'll get caught up on the weekend. All the news and notes from Luke Arcaini's notebook, who covers the Phillies for us here on The Gambler. And then at 4:05, Sean Barnard and I will go ahead and break down the NBA playoffs through one game, and of course with a hyper focus on the 76ers. Looking forward to talking to both of those gentlemen on today's Daily Ticket. Do not go anywhere. Just getting warmed up. We got a lot from the weekend. Tons from the weekend. As I said, Scotty Scheffler at the top, just completely dominating. Today, more so from MLB, an ump show. The ump show of all ump shows took place at Yankee Stadium at 1:00. Completely blew me away. Love it. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Actually, I'll bring that up with Luke Arcaini. Got some other odds and ends that we're going to get in here today. Fun show on a Monday. Don't go anywhere. More of this.
Barbera! Auto Palooza. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Blue Route northbound crawling Ridge Pike to the Turnpike with a crash in the left lane. Westbound Schuylkill Chan, University Divine, and approaching City to Belmont. Eastbound So Girard to South. Vine Expressway eastbound tied up Schuylkill to 95. And westbound back to Broad to the Schuylkill. All right, to tell a total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate. Why make things harder than they need to be? There's a better way to save time and money. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
In this week's Marketers Report, Dana Nussbaum, Executive Vice President, Worldwide Marketing at Warner Brothers Discovery, weighs in on regional audio marketing and the movies.
Everything that we are doing is incredibly data-driven. We are getting signals in every single day about how specific audiences are performing. So although we're marketing at a very broad scale, and that does include specific local markets, that's really the beauty of iHeart's network. You're not serving the same message to a consumer in Nashville necessarily that you may be in New York. You have the ability to be very specific and very personalized, but at a tremendous scale.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia gives marketers access to all, from national to local, every audience, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow. Not just a media company, iHeartMedia, access company. If you're a marketer, go to .com.
Jake from State Farm. I just put my running PR, so I'm celebrating.
Keep celebrating when you bundle and save with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
A Gain Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat. He heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
QC Kinetics announces the arrival of National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, an acclaimed orthopedic surgeon with 2 decades of experience and extensive research in regenerative medicine.
But I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it. And at the same time, I integrated clinical research that's resulted in several publications that are really directing the future of regenerative medicine. I was drawn to QC Kinetics after I reviewed their protocols, and everything they were doing is consistent with my own approach.
Today, Dr. Scheinkup leads the entire team of medical professionals at QC Kinetics, taking this exciting medical breakthrough to a whole new level.
What we are doing at QC Kinetics is transforming lives.
Get lasting joint pain relief. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
This is the future of medicine.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plan starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No. Call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
Come on out this Thursday night for the Gamblers NFL Draft Watch Party presented by Cut.com. KUTT.com.
Sharing secrets with another world, rubbing shoulders with some unknown lovers, making ways through the universe, starting wars with anonymous brothers.
Daily Ticket here on a Monday. We're talking a little Sixers Game 2, Knicks, MSG. Sixers +6 on DraftKings Sportsbook. It all comes down to Joel Embiid's health. If he's not able to go, if he's not able to give you 100%, not advancing it. I don't think anyone's going to tell us different, including our next guest who joins us right now on the Gambler stream, covers all things Phillies for us. Of course, we're going to talk about the team that continues to win and putting it together at this early part of the season. I was impressed. I don't give a damn who they go up against. Not so impressed against the Chicago White Sox. No. Luke Arcaini joining us. Hello, Luke. Good afternoon.
Yeah, that is a historically bad baseball team in the Chicago White Sox.
I was blown away by how bad they were.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm are combined for more RBIs this season than the White Sox entire roster, and Kyle Schwarber has more home runs this year than their entire starting 9 combined yesterday. It's really bad. Like everyone has all this to say about the Athletics and the Rockies. I mean, the White Sox are the worst team in baseball, and
without a doubt.
I don't think it's close. Like
in quite some time, I don't think I've ever seen a team that bad.
No, I really haven't. Maybe the Phillies back in like 2015, but we weren't even that bad back then. It is like historically bad baseball they're playing right now.
Well, speaking of history, let's talk about this rotation for the Phillies right now, because this is a hell of a run that they're on right now. And look, connect the dots, knock on wood, knock on my head. I don't see anything changing as far as the rotation is concerned. I think these guys are as good as advertised. We spent a whole lot of time in the offseason talking about how good this team could be. We spent a full show yelling about Zach Wheeler versus Spencer Strider. And all I said was, if this rotation is good as what we are saying right here, right now, our expectations need to change for this team. Now, the bats finally came around a little bit. We got some long ball. There's some players that are doing well right now. Trey Turner specifically is the one guy I want to shine the light on. Of course, there's others. Marsh can go down the list. That's why you're here. But let's start with the rotation. I'm really, really, really happy so far into the season, what they're doing. I guess longevity. Is this something that you see the Phillies starting 5 continuing to roll out here night in, night out, especially tonight against the Cincinnati Reds and Hunter Green?
Yeah, I don't see for at least the Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, and Aaron Nola group of this rotation. I don't see anything really changing there. They are on sort of like the White Sox, just the complete opposite direction. They are on a historical streak right now. They went 8-2 on the homestand as a team. The starting staff had a 1.51 ERA in those 10 games. They lead the league in strikeouts as a rotation. The starters on the homestand through 65 innings, they had 75 strikeouts. They only walked 20 guys. 44 innings pitched over the last 6 games, 3 earned runs to 48 strikeouts. And if it wasn't for a solo shot that Aaron Nola left up back on Monday, or that just bomb that Eloy Jimenez hit off from yesterday, which was just literally one bad pitch. Basically, when it comes down to it, the Phillies starting rotation threw 2 bad pitches over the last 6 games, if that's really how you want to look at it. Every single guy is doing their job and more. Ranger Suarez looks like he could win a Cy Young right now. I don't think he will, but he sure looks like a guy that has the ability to. I mean, this rotation is the best I've seen it probably since 2009. They look unreal. I get it. It's the first week. I get it. It's the Rockies and the White Sox, but all they have to do is they have to go at the games in front of them. And that's what they did the last week. We asked for them to get off to a hot start. This is the best record they've had in April, I believe, since 2018. And if they win the night, it's the first time they've been on a 7-game win streak in April since 1953. They've done it in nearly 80 years. It's been this hot start that we wanted them to get off to is here, and it is a good one for sure.
As you said, Ranger on the mound, 6:40 start time out in Cincinnati. Hunter Green getting the nod for the Cincinnati Reds. Slight favorites at home, -112. 8 your total in this one. Expectations for Ranger. Where does he stand against this lineup in your mind? And from the wagering perspective, do we just go right back to it? You were all over Ranger strikeouts and I think even outs in that game, and all he did was pitch a complete game. Nice work by you. The last time Ranger took the mound, are we following suit this evening?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing the same thing until it doesn't work. The one listen, I've had a tough few weeks on the sportsbook apps. I'll tell you that. Haven't been hitting many bets, but the ones I have been hitting is Ranger Suarez and any sort of strikeout props on the Phillies pitching staff. I'm gonna look at Rangers over again. 8 strikeouts in both his last 2 games. Only 1 game this year he's had under 7, and that was the Washington game. That was the only game where he really got roughed up. I mean, Ranger, if you want to go by statistics, Ranger's been the best starter in this rotation this year.
Wow.
He finally, for the first time in years, he finally had a normal spring training. There wasn't any setbacks early in the year. No WBC, no issues with his visa. He was there. He made the normal amount of starts. And it's paying off for him. He's allowed 27 strikeouts, 1.73 ERA in 26 innings. I believe he's like top 15 in the league in ERA, maybe even top 10. I think all 5 of our guys, or at least 4 of the 5 guys in our rotation are like top 20 in starting ERA right now. But Ranger himself has been insanely good through his first 4 starts. I don't expect anything to really change on that. I think, I mean, obviously you have to look out for Ellie and Spencer Steer. Those are kind of the 2 guys that have been carrying the load for the Reds, I would say. But other than that, the Reds, I think got off to a bit of a hotter start than I think a lot of people thought they were going to. We had a little trouble with them a few weeks ago. But I don't see any reason Ranger wouldn't hit his props again tonight.
12-9 on the season, Cincinnati Reds. Hunter Green kind of in the middle right now in this early part of the season. As far as ERA is concerned, he got lumped up in 2 out of the 4 starts that he had. No decisions in 3 out of the 4. He did pick up the L against Milwaukee. This is a team that is coming in off of a 3-game sweep over the Angels here. Also went out to Seattle before that series and got swept there. Previous to that series, they took all 3 against the Chicago White Sox. Sean Barnard checking in. He says, yeah, the Phillies pulled off the Little League steal against
I think they pulled off everything in that series. It was
whatever you wanted. It was mascot day. It was a joke at that ballpark. Everybody had a blast. And, of course, the Phillies came out on top. A lot of fun throughout the course of the day. All right, let's continue talking about this Phillies team right now. And, you know, it's good to get you on a Monday as we've done so far into this early part of the season. It's good to get caught up. And of course, remember what we were yelling about last week and maybe some of the changes that have taken place and specifically some of the batting averages for this team right now. I want to talk about Trey Turner. I mean, I was never concerned about Trey Turner, but he is hitting his groove right now. What are you seeing from Trey? What are you liking the most about his approach at the dish?
Yeah, Trey's been by far the best hitter on this team this year. He's hitting 348 on the season with a 908 OPS. He's hitting 500 over his last 7 games, 410 over his last 15. He's hitting like every ball hard. That's kind of the biggest difference that I've seen with Trey from at least this year to last year. It seems like every ball that he's hitting after those infield singles that he kind of started off the season with, it feels like every ball is either lined at the outfielder or it's getting into the gap. He's looked undoubtedly like the best hitter on this team, and he looks like the guy that they gave $300 million to before last season. The errors have gone down in the field over the last week. I don't think he made an error at all this week. which I know we probably shouldn't be praising an error-free week, but sometimes you have to take your wins, right? So it's been a really great all-around start to the season for Trey. And I mean, right now he would probably be top 5 in the National League in some sort of MVP power ranking. That's how good he's been. I mean, as of right now, he probably wouldn't win it. That award is Marcell Azuna's award to lose right now through the first 20-something games. But yeah, I mean, it's been your ideal start to the year for Trey.
Trey Turner, 6 for 13 in that series against the Chicago White Sox, and really putting it together, as Luke pointed it out. And like you said, he's hitting every ball hard. It's a lot of fun, and especially at the top of the lineup when the guys are producing like we're used to, like Schwarber going out there and just mashing, hitting bombs. Trey Turner coming up, hitting for average, and then some. Of course, Bryce is Bryce. And now you're starting to mix in guys like Marsh, who's having an unbelievable start to this season, playing a great, having a great glove out in the outfield when he remembers how many outs there are. I know. Sometimes we all have a great fart from time to time. But let's talk about the good and the bad from some of these players right now, specifically Rojas, who's come around here, hitting the ball well, and then Castellanos still struggling right now. 0 for 4 performance yesterday.
Yeah, Yohan Rojas looks like a completely different baseball player from the first 2 weeks of the season. He's hitting 409 over his last 7. He's hitting over 300 last 15. April, I believe he's also hitting over 300 as well. Rojas is starting to hit the ball hard as well. It's something that I think was just going to be with time, like we said. I said it all off season, and I got ripped for this everywhere. It's just, you need to give these guys time. Like you can't expect some rookie who basically, I mean, basically this kid's still a rookie, right? He played like 2.5 months of last season. He's young. He's probably the best defensive outfielder I've ever watched in Major League Baseball. He makes every single pop-up look like a routine fly ball. I don't think there's a ball in the outfield that he couldn't get to if he really tried. The bat looks good. More importantly, he's getting on base. He's working counts. He's finding walks, right? I don't need him to hit 300, but I need the on-base percentage to be up. And that's what it's been over the last 15, 20 games. So it's looked like a completely different guy out there in that 9-hole. And speaking of the lineup tonight, Rojas is in there. Okay. Castellanos will get to. Brandon Marsh is hitting cleanup tonight, which is only the 3rd time in his career. Harper did go out on a leave. Him and his wife are expecting baby number 3 over the next day or so. So he should probably be back towards the end of the series. But they slid Brandon Marsh into the cleanup spot tonight. Only the 3rd time in his career.
Why not?
Once pointed out by Matt Gelb was the hangover game from last year when they clinched.
That's right.
So definitely a different sort of vibe for this lineup tonight, but everything else is the same as it usually is. Nick Castellanos, like you said, another 0 for 4 day yesterday. But before that, got on base 4 times on Saturday. He's slowly coming around. It's been a very long process with him this year. The power is not necessarily there just yet. He has yet to hit a home run, and I still believe he is without an extra base hit.
No, he had that.
He had the triple. So he finally did break that extra base hit streak. But yeah, I mean, Castellanos, it's been a bad month for sure, no doubt. But I still think there's a lot left in that tank. I don't think he, 1, is going anywhere, 2 is going anywhere in this lineup. His bat's obviously here to stay. They've made it pretty clear that I think they want to ride this out with Nick Castellanos.
You have to. Well, you can't. There's not much you can do about it. You're not going to send him down.
No,
he's got to play through
exactly. You're not going to bench a guy that makes $100 million. You're not going to send him down to AAA, right? He's going to be.
This could mess with the vibes, though. That's the only concern I have, because the boos were already coming, And look, I think we all want to like Nick Castellanos, but there are some out there that are like, he's got a little bit of an attitude. He's got a little bit of a me persona, right? A little bit. He's definitely his own style. Let's just put it that way. And that's all well and good when you're producing, but when you're not, you're going to hear it, especially in this city. So that's the big concern I have right now with Nick Castellanos. And I think we're on the same, field with that one. Like, this is the guy that needs to produce in the back end of that lineup, especially with the contract that he's getting from Casty. As we said, he's going to get his cracks. He's going to figure this out. Maybe the average won't be there this year. Hopefully the power numbers will pick up a little bit as it gets a little warmer, as Charlie would say, hitting season. We're just hoping for the best at this point in time. Now let's talk about Bryson Stott. And what are you seeing so far about him? Because he's another guy that, again, I'm not looking for a guy to hit power numbers. We talked about this last week. Bryson Stott's a guy that I want at the dish, pressure situations, runner on second or third, whatever it is, need that big base hit. I'm banking on him coming through. Hasn't been so much so far this early part of the year. Is he trying to do too much? What are people saying right now with Bryson Stott? Is he eventually going to figure this out? Because he is a professional hitter at the end of the day.
Yeah, he is probably the most professional hitter in this lineup, even though it's not showing right now. I think honestly he's just kind of trying to do too much right now. I think a lot's in his head. He just kind of looks all over the place in the box. I think he kind of just needs to reel it in. Realistically, I think he needs like another day off just to kind of just sort of relax a little bit. Everybody knows this isn't the player who he is right now. I mean, his average right now is like 220 with like a 570 something OPS. It's been a really ugly start. I think he's looking for a little more power, which is something I don't think he needs to look for, really. I can worry about the home runs for the first 5-6 guys in the lineup. I don't need my 8-hole every night to hit 25 home runs. I mean, if he does, great, but obviously right now that's not helping everything else for him. Right. I mean, he still plays unbelievable defense. I think the bat will come around. I think it's just kind of a matter of time. Listen, I mean, he had a great year last year. I think this could be sort of maybe just like a third year slump a little bit coming back. I don't think it's anything that'll last the full season. But I think you give Stott some time. I think he'll be back up to 260, 270, hopefully by beginning of May-ish in that range. But I'm not worried about Stott at all.
All right. One play for tonight. What are you looking at from the Phillies perspective? Are we going back to Rangers head?
Yeah, I'm going to look at Ranger K's. I'm going to look at the Phillies minus 108. I think that's a really good price for a team that's rolling right now. I don't think Hunter Green's been that good. He's been okay. But anytime you can give me the better pitcher on a better team that's more hot at a minus 108 price there, I'm going to take that. So I'm going to look at the minus 108. Probably just look at Ranger props, and I would continue to ride Trey, hit bases, anything in that sort. He's just been downright the best player in the lineup. So really for me, it's just ride the hot hand early in the season. And right now that's Trey Turner.
Anything for Marsh since he's getting a crack at it? I know Green righty. So
yeah, you know what? Yeah. I like Marsh as well. Let's dive into a little Marsh there. Probably Trey Marsh. I don't have, once again, I am going to take maybe a day or two off of the sports book. But if I was, Ranger K's money line, and then I would definitely look at Trey and then maybe a little at Marsh. What's Trey Turner's home run number at? It's down here somewhere. +2. Wow. +295 to hit a home.
+295.
That's way too low. Maybe Marsh 500. That's a pretty good number for Marsh. Maybe I would look at Marsh in the cleanup spot. That seems like a Marsh thing to do. Is a guy that once hit 8th go into the cleanup spot and then mash a home run and then just get moved out of the cleanup spot the next day. So yeah, I would maybe look at Marsh tonight as well. But really for me, it's just Ranger and Trey.
All right. Yeah, total bases. It always has my attention. Trey Turner over 1.5 at -115. Definitely something that I would look to play this evening. Ranger Suarez, you got to back it definitely with the strikeouts there. Hopefully the Phils could come away with that victory. Luke Arcaini, all things MLB and Phillies insider for us here on The Gambler. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that happened over the weekend around the league. But I'd like to start, if I could, on a Monday. Today, what took place at Yankee Stadium is just absurd on so many levels. And the umpire's name, Hunter, I'm drawing a blank on his last name. He's been around the damn game forever.
Yeah, I got
so
you.
He is there. It's literally the first batter for the Oakland A's. It's the first batter for the Oakland A's. And Boone lets it be known. He gives it back to Hunter Whittlestaff. There you go. That's his name. So he's yelling at him. And then all of a sudden, Hunter looks at him and says, no more. I don't want to hear any more. That's it. Somebody chirps him in an empty ballpark at 1:08 p.m. at Yankee Stadium on a Monday. He thinks it's Boone, tosses him. Boone did not even, his mouth didn't move. He was standing on the top row, wasn't even looking, understood the assignment. I can't say anything, gets tossed. Goes up to him, says it wasn't me, and the umpire says, I don't care. That can't happen. You cannot be throwing coaches out, managers out in the first at-bat of the game. I don't care how hot it is. I don't care how late you were out the night before. That just cannot happen. I would hope that umpire gets suspended because you just can't.
That's going to get reviewed by the league in some sort. So that guy, I don't know if you saw the alternate angle from basically the Athletics view from their dugout, but there was a guy sitting in a blue shirt directly behind Aaron Boone. And he was in the first row. He said something. He went like this with his hands on his mouth, screamed something, and then looked down like this and like hid his face, acted like he didn't say it. So the umpire thought it was Boone. That was the worst part. Him saying, I don't care. No, you absolutely should care. You just threw a coach out on the first pitch of the game. For something he didn't say. Yeah. Honest to God, it was really funny. But just that, that just can't happen. I hope that guy gets some sort of ban. Granted, I guess technically the guy did nothing wrong. Like, I don't know how the stadium, I guess, could sort of ban that guy. He technically didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he yelled something crazy, which I don't think he did. So really, it's just that umpire needs to get reviewed a little bit because that definitely cannot happen, especially before, I think it was before the first pitch was thrown.
Yeah.
It
was due to Ruiz let off the game for the A's, and then he thought he was struck out, but he was hit on the final pitch of the at bat. So when he checked with the first base umpire to confirm the call, it was upheld, and Boone was letting him have it. So it was literally the first at bat, but in between the first and second at bat, he got tossed up because I don't think that second pitcher or that second at bat's a pitch there. But just it can't happen. And if I'm the commissioner of baseball, you got to have a one-on-one saying you guys can't be tossing players out.
Well,
and coaches
it's a good thing that we have a commissioner that everybody loves and
Oh
trusts.
yeah, exactly.
So should be in good hands here.
Let's talk about the league as a whole right now. Braves at the top of everybody's power rankings, and rightfully so. Team is putting it together. My question to you is, how scary are the Braves in your mind with the fact that, Riley not doing much, Ronald Acuna not doing anything, Max Fried 7.71 ERA, Strider's out for the season, and all the Braves have done is just win games and score a bunch of runs. They're 14-6, second best record in baseball, and some of the stats that are coming out with how many runs that they have scored so far in all these games. It's pretty crazy that what they've been able to do so far with not getting the production from some of those big name players. So how scary are the Braves in your mind, seeing what they've been able to do, not getting help from the big names at the top of the lineup?
Yeah, so the story of the Braves, which it seems like it's every year, is they just have a top to bottom lineup that just crushes you 1 through 9. They have 6 guys that are hitting over 800 OPS. Their top 4 guys are now in OPS: Marcell Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud, Ozzie Albies, and Orlando Arcia. That does not include Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris, Matt Olson, or Austin Riley. So their best 4 hitters this year don't include their 3 best players overall, which is just as scary as it could possibly be from a lineup standpoint. The pitching's another story. I think they're getting away with some good starts right now. I still just don't see this lasting. I don't see Chris Sale going a full season for them. This Ronaldo Lopez thing right now has been a pretty awesome story. He's looked really solid in his first 3 starts. I don't see that lasting a full season. What's up with Max Fried? Nobody really knows. Is it an injury? Is it mechanics? And then obviously the loss of Strider. I think within a month or two, this offense is going to be pulling a very big load behind them in this pitching staff. And I just don't think that's a recipe for success, especially once you get to the playoffs. You know that when you get to the playoffs, you can't win if you can't pitch. That's been the story of the Dodgers the last 3 years. They don't have pitching. That's why they don't win in the playoffs. The Phillies have beat the Braves the last 2 years because they have better pitching. The lineup is one thing in the regular season, but once you get into October, if you can't pitch, you can't win. So while the pitching has been semi-okay in this first month, it's not something to me that's very sustainable. I think they're going to start nosediving soon, maybe in the pitching side. I think they're going to start giving up a lot more runs per game over the next few months. It's really just the matter of if this lineup can outslug their number one starter having an ERA over 7. Because if that's the case, then you just have to tip your hat. Like if Max Fried's going out there every 5 days and allowing 6, 7, 8 earned runs, and you're still 10 games over 500 somehow, then I don't really have many words after that. But I just don't see this success being completely sustainable over the next few months.
All right, bigger surprise for you, Luke, so far, early part of the season, 20, 25 games into the regular season for most teams. Yeah, about 20 games, not 25 games. The Dodgers at 13-11 or the Guardians 16-6. Ripping a cover off the baseball.
The Guardians. The Guardians have been really good. Josh Naylor leads almost every stat. He's been crushing the baseball.
Guess whose fantasy team he's on?
The old Sean Brace's fantasy team, huh? There's only 3-1 teams left. Tell you what, I'm one of them. There we go. Hey now. They've just been hitting the crap out of the ball, and that's with Jose Ramirez hitting under 240. His OPS is under 700 right now. So sort of that thing like the Braves. Obviously, their lineup isn't as good as the Braves. It's honestly like nowhere close to it. But when your best players are some of your worst hitters in your lineup at the moment, that's a good sign for a team that I didn't have many high hopes for before this season. I thought the Guardians were going to have a down year. I think they're in that sort of boat, kind of like the Braves, though, where I see their pitching kind of falling a little bit. They obviously lost Shane Bieber. How long can a Logan Allen, Carlos Carrasco, Tristan McKenzie top 3 take you through the season? I don't think that long, but I'd be willing to see how long, because they look really solid so far. And then the Dodgers. They've just been a letdown, which typical. The Dodgers signed some big free agent, have this killer offense, and they become a letdown. They lost a series to the Mets. They lost a series to the Nationals. They lost a series to the Padres. Wow, they've lost 3 series in a row to teams that really aren't that good. They just not playing up to their ability. Their pitching hasn't been great. Really, it's just been Mookie and Ohtani at the top. Everyone else has been hitting okay. Freddie Freeman's not off to that great of a start. OPS under 800. Max Muncy's been struggling. So it's really, once again, just the pitching. And I think right now that is where the Phillies just have such an advantage over everybody else. Even if the record doesn't necessarily show it on a league-wide standpoint, they have the best all-around pitching staff, starters and relievers in baseball. And they have the best rotation and bullpen by themselves. It's just night and day from years past. And I think it's really the big reason why this April has been so good to them so far.
Yeah. Well, they were able to win last night 10-0 over the Mets, but did lose the series to the New York Mets in LA. So they
Mets have
definitely
been hot.
Yeah, the Mets have been hot. The Dodgers are struggling with the pitching, and that was something that we said. I still don't believe that, this team isn't destined for a run come playoff time, but that's a long ways away. So they got to go ahead and put some wins together here and losing to.
If you want one more letdown to the Astros, they've been bad.
They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, though, right?
A lot of injuries, but it seems like from what I've seen, I mean, I haven't been able to watch a ton of Astros games so far this year, but from what I've seen from some reporters and stuff like that, it seems like they're just getting to the end of this core. It seems like these older veterans just aren't as good as they used to be, and it seems like this. I wouldn't necessarily say a fall off because they're going to find their way back in the playoffs, right? They're the Astros. They're going to find themselves back there no matter what.
Yep.
But I don't see this Astros team right now, at least, anywhere near what they were the last few years.
I agree with that. Luke Arcaini, there's a lot I agree with you. Number one, Ranger Suarez, let's go. 60 seconds on the Sixers. Do you agree that the Sixers are done?
Yeah, they're toast. I really wish they weren't. But I just can't. I can't continue to buy into a team where my star is hurt. He's hurt. They're not going to win games if he's not 100%. You're not getting contributions. Your $180 million small forward is taking like 4 shots in like 30 minutes. Your biggest trade deadline acquisition shot like 2 shots all game. They're just not. They're not on the level as I think we are talking ourselves into. I think we want this team to be better than they are. And I think it showed the other night. I don't see a reason why I wouldn't take Knicks with the points tonight. If the Sixers, that dog is yapping outside, my bad. I don't see the reason why you wouldn't take the Knicks. If Joel Embiid isn't as healthy as he was at the start of game 1, and Tyrese Maxey is apparently sick, questionable, wasn't at shoot around today, I don't see the reason why the Knicks shouldn't win by more tonight. Will they shoot as good? Probably not. But there's nothing I can sit here and tell you that they're not going to shoot that good. Maybe they will. So I just don't. I don't have the confidence in them like I used to. It's a slow trip that they're going downhill right now, and I think it's going to be an off season of some uncomfortable conversations that I think we finally need to have, and maybe it's a year or two past due.
It's tough, but I think you're right. Let's see how this one unfolds tonight. Sixers catching 6 on the road against the New York Knicks. Luke,
with that, if they win tonight, I'm all the way back in.
Oh yeah, Sixers and
6. Sixers and 6 always was.
You the man, Luke. Good luck on those plays, and we will catch up later this week. Talk some more Phils.
Sorry, thanks, Sean.
All right, there he is, Luke Arcaini on the Gambler stream. Well, Luke and I are in agreement there. One man who I believe will be on the opposite end of the spectrum is Sean Barnard, our Sixers insider. Let's talk more about tonight's game, and we're going to hit on the lead because game 1s were heavily in favor of the home teams. Will that continue in game 2? 7-1 ATS. Game 2's kick off tonight. Tip off tonight. Come on, Brace. It's basketball. We're going to discuss them all, find some value, see if we can get some winning wagers, and of course, focus on the 76ers. All that and more. Sean Barnard on the other side. Don't go there. More after this.
No sob stories here, just hardcore NFL draft coverage. Tune in for the most comprehensive draft coverage right here on The Gambler.
Great news. The cash contest is back. The Gambler and Gary Barbera on the Boulevard have teamed up yet again to give you a chance to put some bonus bucks in your pocket. All you have to do is keep it locked to The Gambler, and at the top of every hour, listen for the keyword and get over to our website, foxphlgambler.com, and enter to win $1,000. That's 9 times a day. So is The Gambler and Gary Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
At Gary Barbero's Auto Palooza, you got a buck, you're in luck. All makes, all models, instant credit, $1 down delivers, and 50 of them from the land under 20 grand. Is Barbera's on the Boulevard the best? Boy, I guess.
Hey, Sean Brace here for DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, the 82-game preseason is in the books. Now, it's finally time for the real season. Don't miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in tournament through the NBA Finals, from every opening tip to every buzzer beater, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting options, odds boost, and so much more. Plus, there's something else to sweeten the deal for new customers. You bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. You like that? Of course. You know what else I like? The round one matchup between the Lakers and the Nuggets. Yeah, it's got my attention. Hopefully that series goes 7. New customers, just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code BRACE. That's code BRACE to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Now, that's only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. You must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Introducing Rita's new frozen coffee made with Oreo cookie pieces, the perfect pick-me-up, available for a limited time. Or try our creamy cookies and cream concrete. Treat yourself to Oreo cookie goodness at Rita's today.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-290-5599. That's 1-800-290-5599. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-290-5599. That's 1-800-290-5599.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Your kids are active all day, every day. So count on Juicy Juice for the good stuff. Give your kids the nutrients of real 100% fruit juice with no sugar added, no corn syrup, and no artificial sweeteners. Find Juicy Juice at your favorite local grocery retailer. Info at juicyjuice.com.
This is former Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn. Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Progressive Insurance.
The 76ers may play Game 2 of their playoff series in New York without guard Tyrese Maxey. He's questionable. He's sick. French teenager Zachary Rissache officially entered the NBA draft today. He's expected to go first overall there. And football, where Eagles GM Howie Roseman is reportedly making calls about trading up in the first round of the NFL draft. Philly currently holds the 22nd overall pick. I'm Scott Davidson.
Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Off to a busy start for the Monday drive home. It's crawling 95 southbound Academy to the Betsy Ross. That's due to a crash. Further south, heavy Ridley Park to the Commodore Barry. Northbound 95 back to Vine Expressway to Jordan, Betsy Ross to Bridge. Divine Express by eastbound tied up Schuylkill 95 and westbound back to Broad to the Schuylkill merge. Westbound Schuylkill Jan, University to Girard and Boulevard to Conshohocken, and eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont. Blue Route northbound Jan approaching the Schuylkill of the Turnpike from an earlier crash. To tell a total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Robert Half. Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know.
Gary Holloway Jr., CEO of GMH Communities, and we're right here in Delaware County, Newtown Square.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter. Locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Your home for Villanova basketball is WDAS and WD273D, Fox Sports Radio Philadelphia. Come on out this Thursday night for the Gamblers NFL Draft Watch Party, presented by Cut.com, KUTT.com.
Game 2. Knicks and Sixers going down at the Garden tonight. Sixers catching 6 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Joining us right now to talk more about tonight's game and, of course, all things NBA playoffs. It's our guy, the one and only Mr. Sean Barnard. Sean_Barnard is where you can find him on socials. Does a bang-up job, and I believe he's going to try and sell us on the fact that there's still life with this 76ers team, and I'm not mad with that. Sean Barnard, how we doing today, sir?
Doing well, and there absolutely is. That it is Sixers and 6, as it always has been, Sean Brace. And I see you still representing a little Myrtle Beach golf vibe coming back in the studio with the polo on today.
Yeah, you know, the laundry needed to be done, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I'm still mentally, believe me, I'm still out there on that course. And also physically, a part of my body is probably still out there as well. All right, look, I opened the show by saying this, Sean. I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody how to feel about this 76ers team. More importantly, the future, tonight's game, anything. Like, we've been through this, and that's where I'm at. I'm tired. This is just another disaster, another ending to a playoff run, and it's such a long season. You get to this point, and, you know, look, Joel Embiid's not 100%. And if he's not 100%, we're begging. We're begging for other players to step up. Do I expect them to play better tonight? Yes. That's the ebbs and flows of a 7-game series. I believe in Nick Nurse as a coach. Those guys are professionals. And the grand scheme of things, to ask the 76ers to play better in the departments, the categories that they were bad in that game 1, it's about being physical. It's about playing with some basketball IQ. Right? Like, yeah. You know, these guys are pulling up from all over. The non-corner three-pointers, they were making every one of them. All right, we got to defend them more. Offensive rebound. You know what this team's going to do on the glass. You got to find a body. You got to out-physical them. You got to want it. And I expect the Sixers to put up more of a fight tonight. I think they still come up short, but man, that was an ugly, ugly game 1. when Joel Embiid went out there and gave it his all and more of the same. So where do you stand on this Sixer team after game one?
Look, I mean, we can do the Joel Embiid dance all offseason. And to tip my cap, I don't think it's a conversation worth having, to be honest. I think that there's no way that the Sixers team can improve their chances of winning a championship in the short term or long term by moving on from Joel Embiid. Now, is he a flawed star? Absolutely. But he's still one of the best basketball players on planet Earth and, frankly, one of the best basketball talents to ever play the sport. It's just that his body's continually letting him down. And it's frustrating. There's no doubt about it. Yep. But was Joel Embiid the best player on the floor in game one?
At 70%.
Yep. And now, that's the story.
Brunson had a dud. He did stink, and Brunson's a damn good ball player. But yes, to answer your question, no doubt about it, Joel Embiid was.
And the Brunson stuff, like, for starters, as far as optimism for this specific series, there was a lot of outlier performances by the Knicks. The Deuce McBride is not dropping points left and right like he did that a game on an every game basis. Josh Hart, who has not hit more than 2 3-pointers in a game all season, is not connecting on 4 3-pointers, including one in which Kyle Lowry was just up in his grill on. The Knicks are not going to out-rebound this team 55-33. The Sixers are not going to allow 23 offensive rebounds in another game. And are these all changes that need to be had? For sure. But they're all tangible adjustments that can be made. That the Sixers were very close to going in, squeezing out a win in which a lot of things went wrong in that game. I don't think that there's a gap in between talent in favor of the Knicks. In fact, I would still argue it's the Sixers. There's guys that didn't play well on this team that I expect to be better. Kelly Oubre, I think, will be more impactful offensively moving forward in this series. We might get DeAnthony Melton back. It's sounding more encouraged in that department, and he would be a difference maker in a lot of these categories that we're talking about. So there's reasons to buy in, and I get the Joel injury stuff, but the bottom line is whatever level he's at, he's still going to be the best player on the floor in the series. This team does have talent around him. We saw Tyrese Maxey basically get to the rim at will. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, and I feel like I overslept and missed the final 6 games of this series or whatever from the way a lot of people are talking.
Well, just to go back to Joel Embiid, and again, I'm right there with you. We got plenty of time to have that discussion. And this series is nowhere near done, so hold up. But I do believe that there's definitely something there mentally that takes place with this team. And I get it. They almost still fought and pulled this game out as ugly as it was, but it's got to take a toll when you know darn well he is your best player and he goes up there, and it's going to continue to happen. That knee is not healthy for whatever reason. It's not. And he's out there gutting it out. And to some, they don't want to hear about it. Oh man, here we go again. To others, I mean, it's impressive. I've said that Joel Embiid was a tough player in my mind. He's obviously hurt, right? I hope no one believes that he's faking it. Although everyone else, people told me Jimmy Butler was faking it, right? So bottom line is, I believe Joel Embiid is hurt right now, and he's giving it his all. But, when he goes in and out of lineups, and I know he still played 36 minutes, I just think that takes a toll on the mental for the team, the psychological factor. And, he's no longer there. That there's a shock to that system. And in playoff basketball, if you keep your heads down for 2 minutes, you could be down double digits. And that's the difference in the game. So we've seen that happen in years past. So I just wonder what the deal is with that. When it comes to, again, you have to play Joel Embiid. I'm not sitting here and say you don't. That's an easy decision. But this is the same song and dance we have been through year after year after year. If Joel Embiid says he can go, you got to play him, and he's not 100%.
Yeah, and in that specific game, the Sixers were a +14 with Joel Embiid on the court and a -21 when he was off it in those 12 minutes of play, which he was not. And it felt like more than that, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. Like that second quarter run immediately after he went down, I believe it was officially a 9-0 run that the Knicks closed on. That felt like they just poured on points and blew the game open. That it felt like things ran away with it right there. I give the dude a ton of credit. The fact that he's even playing basketball, it's insane that I think he's in the small minority of players that would actually still be playing through this across the league as a whole. And he does deserve credit for that. And it is unfortunate. But again, he's still the best player on the floor. And I expect that to fully be the case tonight. So, I mean, these are tough conversations. There's not a great way to look at it. But the bottom line is, I still think the Sixers team, pound for pound, is better than this Knicks team. And I think as far as us not talking ourselves into the Sixers being as good as that, which I know is mentioned on here, this is the second and third best team in the Eastern Conference. That the Bucks are not as good as either one of these teams. The Pacers not as good as either one of these teams. The Cavs, Magic, they don't run with either one of these teams.
If Dame turns back the hands of time, I think the Bucks are a little bit better than what you're giving them credit for.
So Dame scored 35 in the first half last night.
Wait, hang on. What's the deal with Giannis? Tell me that, because obviously I disconnected over the weekend.
Not a ton of good news. 2 to 4 weeks was floated out there, which is this entire series and probably a portion of the next one. So not great on that front, but Giannis is a guy that'll fight through it. And the Dame stuff, to bring that back, I frankly think that the Bucks and Pacers are having a fraud off in this series. It's whichever team is less legit. Like Damian Lillard, as far as turning back the clock, scored 35 points in that first half last night. You see what he ended with?
What did he have?
35 points. He had 0 points.
I didn't think he could score than that. That's right. Look, yeah, and I get it. You know, we're all fighting to see who's going to lose to Boston no matter what. But it is a weak Eastern Conference. The Knicks are the 2 seed, right? Like, it's there for the taking. And I would be losing my mind if Joel Embiid was 100%. If he was able to jump and land without having that shock to the system where he goes down. I couldn't believe he came back, right? Yeah. And I'm not even a player. I'm just a fan watching the games. And here he comes walking back in. He's going to play. It's just like, that's got to take a toll on the psyche for the team. And I don't know if it's a positive or a negative. Of course, having him on that floor, no ifs, ands, buts about it. You're damn right you play him. But here we are going through it again. And man, it's just tough. It's a tough scene. It's a tough time to be a Sixers fan. Because you know that you don't have the horses, you don't have your guns ready to go, fully loaded, and it's a winnable game. It's a winnable series. You know, Josh Hart going out there shooting 4 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. They didn't miss down the stretch. The Knicks did not miss.
Josh Hart's a 30% 3-point shooter. Like, you live with that. That won't happen in another game in that series. Josh Hart, very good basketball player. That's just one of the flaws that he has. The rebounding's the biggest, like, clear adjustment they need to make. And as far as, like, the schematic stuff, this is another reason why I've been excited about Nick Nurse being the guy leading the charge, that I do expect direct changes in the way that things are played in this game, that I think that we're going to see a little bit of Paul Reed and Joel Embiid sharing the floor, that I think you have to do that to address the rebounding. And I think that can still be successful. I do think that the stuff as far as slowing down Jalen Brunson is real, that I think that was some great, like, decision making. It was primarily Kelly Oubre getting the task with that, and just the way that they always were throwing bodies at him, not letting him get to his spots in the mid-range. It was some advanced stuff that they were doing, and that's probably my biggest fear with the Joel Embiid stuff, is he was a large part of that he did not play the pure drop coverage, which is his preferred style of defense, that he was hedging a ton on the pick and roll opportunities, and that requires more effort, more work, and more side-to-side movement. So we'll see how he holds up with all of that. I mean, it's not great. Like, the injury stuff with him is not great, but I still think, like, there's very much a route for the Sixers to win this series. I do think they go in and win there tonight. I think they walk back to Philly with a 1-1 series. And even if they don't, I don't think it's over. That I think there is a world where they go down 2-0.
We disagree on that one. The pressure that they will, the fans will turn on them 5 minutes into the game. It just will happen. I was shocked that they beat Miami. Shocked. Now, the bricking for chicken had something to do with it. And we can laugh about it, but it really did. It got the fans back into the game. The Sixer fans are just, they're frustrated. You know, like I said, I'm tired. I think I'm speaking for the majority of us. Like, we are doing it again. And it's just tiresome. So I disagree with you. They don't win tonight. I will not sell that. I don't think that they have a chance in hell at evening the series up or winning the series, let alone that. Tonight's a must win. Got to win tonight.
I mean, I obviously would much prefer them to win tonight, and I do hope that's the case, and I think they got a really good chance at it. But I do see a world where they go down 0-2, win both in Philly, and then it's a best of 3. I could see that happening. As far as, like, the Sixers fans absolutely have an issue with, like, past failures clouding judgment. I would say that's more so of an issue than actually being optimistic here. That, like, these guys do not remember this stuff. That Kyle Lowry played no role in any of these collapses. In fact, he was on the other side. Kelly Oubre does not remember any of these past scars. Nick Nurse was not a part of any of it.
Yeah.
Right. So, this team should be treated as a new team.
It's Joel Embiid and his health. And that's what it comes down to. And that's the reason why I'm so negative about this team tonight, is I don't even think you'll get the performance you got from Joel Embiid, 70, 75%, whatever it was in game 1. I don't think you'll get that tonight. I just don't think health will be there, and he's not going to be dependable. And maybe at the end of the fourth quarter, where you need a big bucket, you need the guy to go to. I know he was 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter. And again, without getting too much into detail, because Joel Embiid played his ass off. I think he deserves a lot of credit for what he did, but just got to have the confidence that the big man will be there when his number is called upon. And I don't think that you can right now as a Sixers fan. Nick Nurse and this organization, they got to live and die by him, right? He's all they got with Maxey, who's playing his ass off. Don't get me wrong there, but Joel Embiid is the number one. And we said it, Sean, we said it for 2 months. Like, you can't count these games. How many people said it? Any team that doesn't have their number one guy, you're not going to win these games. All right, well, what if I give you your number one guy at 70%? How many of those games are you going to win? And we're seeing it right now.
I still think more than people are giving credit with that. But like, I really think people discount how rarely we see 100% version of Joel Embiid. That I think probably like 10 to 15% of the games that he's played across his NBA career, that he's actually the 100% version of himself. And like, that's not a great thing. Like, that's not a great look for him overall. But the still reality is that he can play through stuff at a level that other people can't. Like, when looking at like that second half, he was throwing passes, some of the best playmaking of his entire career. And that's been one of my just reasons for optimism why his game and this team's game can translate to the playoffs this season. I still think we can see that. So they have to prove it. Like, I think it would be a monkey off the back to get a win tonight. I think this team needs it more than anything. But this Knicks team, like, they're good, they're hard-nosed, they're gritty, but I don't really think they're capable of having like a blowout performance against this Sixers team. Maybe they can get hot, have a barrage of threes and blow things open, but every game is going to feel like a slugfest, a hard-nosed fight, and like a couple bounces here, a couple bounces there, it goes either way. That, to me, these are the second and third best teams in the East. I think this is going to be a deep series regardless. So I think this series is far from over. A lot of balls still left to play.
6-point spread, now down to 5.5 on DraftKings. Maxey, if he's able to go, he will go.
He'll play.
We know that. Yes, we know he's going to play. What type of Tyrese Maxey is going to be affected? Does he have a flu that is just completely taking him out of his game? We don't know. So we'll see. But if you tell me Maxey's going to be close to 100%, and you give me Joel Embiid, like, I could see the path to keeping this game close. That's why I said if I was a wagering man, I would take the Sixers plus the 6. I don't see them winning this game. I just don't see them coming out of a game 2 here on the road in MSG winning tonight with a 70% or whatever it is with Joel Embiid. But the question mark with Tyrese Maxey is real. So complete stay away from me. Going to sit this one out. We'll see what happens. But it's another disappointing start to the most important time of the year right now. And you go up there and lose a game where, what a crazy game. Sixers had a 13-point lead. Knicks had a high of 14-point lead, just back and forth. And I thought this for sure the Sixers were going to win that game, especially with the way Maxey was playing. But they ended up losing the way they did, 111 to 104. I don't think the Knicks will hit the three-pointers like you said. I think the rebounds are going to be an issue for this Sixers team because it didn't seem like there was a lot of want from a lot of players. You said Oubre. What about expectations for Tobias Harris? Will there be a change? Do you see Nick Nurse doing something that he hasn't done all season long because Tobias Harris absolutely is an issue on the floor for the Sixers?
Yeah, and it's frustrating because I did think the decision was being made. We talked about it in the Miami series, how they did not close, or in the Miami playing game that they didn't close with Harris. I thought they were doing the same thing in that game, and then with 2:18 left on the clock, he checked back in. You can't have expectations for Tobias Harris at this point. And maybe he does get hot. Maybe he does have one of his 25-point performances that he still is capable of. But I think it was pretty telling, some of the responses from Nick Nurse during his media availability. He seemed to honestly get like borderline upset at the question of like, what do you need to do to get Tobias Harris going, or does there need to be an effort there? I do think his minutes slide back, and this is directly tied to the rebounding conversation that, frankly, I went back and watched a ton of the tape today and like became even more frustrated at Tobias Harris of how many of those are directly on him. It's basic basketball stuff. It's man up, put a body on a guy, let Josh Hart, who's coming crashing in from the three-point line, just don't let him body you out of the way that Harris did very regularly in that one. So the adjustment to me, once again, I want to see some Paul Reed and Joel Embiid minutes on the floor together. It also wouldn't surprise me if Nick Nurse gives KJ Martin a little bit of run. He's a guy that, from a skill set standpoint, can match up with a Josh Hart type guy. And to KJ Martin's credit, I think throughout this season, he's become more and more comfortable with just like playing within his role, which is pretty impressive for a kid that's still just 23 years old and kind of figuring things out at the NBA level. So it wouldn't surprise me if KJ Martin gets some run. I do think Harris sees his minutes cut down, and I do think Nick Nurse is kind of on the same page as everyone. But to the same kind of breath here, that a good portion of like things falling apart in that second unit it was because everything was playing through Tobias Harris. Like when Tyrese Maxey's on the floor, there's just zero reason ever for there to be a pick and roll called with Tobias Harris as the ball handler. There's just no world where that's as effective as a guy like Tyrese, who was clearly getting to all his spots. It wasn't really to the second half that he got going. So I want Maxey to be in full gear and that be a focus from the get-go tonight. So a lot of adjustments to make, but I do think we see a little less Tobias Harris, which is absolutely necessary if they do want to win.
Hopefully Maxey can give that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the hope. And if you give me Maxey somewhat close to 100% and Joel Embiid can give you similar to what he was able to do in game one, you know, that's the recipe for a success right there, where you can hope that they can go up there and steal game two at the Garden. But again, I don't know what the latest is with Maxey. He missed shoot around. He's got the flu. You know, it's wiped out players before and you know, taking them off their game. Hopefully that's not the case, because that dude, as you pointed out, he was awesome. He was getting to the rim. You know, they didn't have an answer for him. And that's why I was like, man, Maxey's able to do this and they're still going to lose the game. And it was just because of the New York Knicks hit all their shots down the stretch. And I don't expect that tonight. I think it's going to be a little tighter game. We'll see 5.5. Total came down from 207 down to 204.5 now currently at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, let's go ahead and move off of that game. Let's talk about some of the games that have happened around the league. The big one from the betting standpoint, Sean, 7-1 ATS for home teams, 8-0. All 8 playoff game ones went to the home team. How shocking is that to you? Do you subscribe to the possibility of firing on them for game 2? We got the Cavs, we got the Knicks, we got the Nuggets tonight. I know where you stand on the Knicks tonight, but Nuggets are 7-point favorites. Cavs are 5.5-point home favorites. Your thoughts on all the home teams getting the job done in game 1?
Yeah, the saying goes that the series doesn't start until the road team gets a win. I think we saw that on full display. I'm not entirely shocked by it. Definitely like the result and kind of the how just a game was put out of reach in several of these opportunities was a little surprising to me. I talked about this with Mark Henry Jr. on Saturday, but to me, like game 2s are where you want to start getting in the action when we're talking about NBA betting, or NBA series betting here, because you see how teams match up. You have kind of the I guess putting teams in a corner in a way, which I do expect here. So I think it is time that things shift the other direction a little bit. Like the Lakers game tonight, I do like the Lakers to keep it much closer and give them a chance of winning this game outright tonight. I think we begin to see a little bit of a swing back. I even lean the Magic as far as that Cavs game as well, that I think that this is going to be a series that goes fairly deep, and these teams are pretty well matched up. That Cavs game specifically, I thought there was some outlier shooting from guys like Evan Mobley. So I do think we see the pendulum swing back a little bit tonight. And overall, kind of a disappointing week of basketball as far as how these games look.
Interesting. Yeah, look, you know, the OKC game was kind of ugly. It came down to the home stretch. Of course, Denver handled business. Dallas was very frustrating. I thought Dallas was going to put up a fight against the Clipperless or Kawhi Leonard, who was unable to go in game 1. I don't understand the thought process for some of those players. I think it's more of an excuse than anything. Kawhi was never playing in game 1. I didn't think he was. He didn't play in the final 10 games of regular season. Snapping the fingers, you're going to be ready to go in game 1. I didn't think that was Kawhi Leonard's style. Now, what's the latest with him, and why is it not concrete? Why is it up in the air? Like, from a gambling perspective, it just feels like we're guessing a lot here, and it's a playoff game. And that's not what we should be doing.
Yeah, it feels like it's never concrete with Kawhi, and him specifically. There's always like some more asterisks or more just kind of confusion around the situation, and that's been dating back his entire career, really, back to his San Antonio days when that first started, and obviously in Toronto carried in there as well. So it is strange with him. And I mean, when we have these like Embiid conversations, like to me, Kawhi is far more frustrating for that type of thing. That at least you know Embiid's going to give you what he's got. You never know when Kawhi's playing and when he's not. And it is frustrating because he's another player who fits that same category, that he's absolutely incredible when he's playing, but you just don't know. So they are being very guarded with this. I don't really expect that we have a full concrete, like just knowledge of what the situation is. My honest guess would be that we likely don't see Kawhi for this entire first round. And if the Clippers do get through, there has to be a great deal of frustration building out there for sure. I just don't feel good about like the way things are always phrased with him. And it's frustrating that for most of the season, he talked about how he's playing pain-free for the first time in years and all these other things. And obviously the wheels fell off at the wrong time. So I'm not optimistic they get Kawhi back, but we don't have a ton to go off as far as information right now.
Yeah, it's just frustrating from, of course, a Clippers fan's perspective, but a piece like that, like if everybody's healthy, you could look at that Clippers team and make the case that they could possibly make the West a little interesting right now. I know a lot of people want to give it to the Denver Nuggets. I am not. We got a long way to go, a lot of ball to be played. Hell, we just got started. It's only game one, and we're already trying to hand the trophy back over to Denver. I know that they're a great team. They were all season long. I also think Boston has a little something to say with the change that they made in the offseason, of course, adding Porzingis and what we've seen throughout the course of the season. Like, there is no way I'm going to look at that series in the same manner as it took place last year, or excuse me, didn't take place last year, but if it would have taken place in the NBA Finals. I definitely think Boston is a much better team this year. Talk to me about where that series is for you. Is it just as good as done at this point in time against the Miami Heat, or can the Heat do anything differently? Maybe a better start. I would start there, pun intended, but your thoughts on that series from Boston and Miami?
Yeah, I think the Heat probably find their way to squeeze out one win, but they have no chance in this series. That Boston team is absolutely the real deal. And the Porzingis addition, you just see the way their offense flows, that it's such a clear-cut, just drive and dish and spray three-pointers type of team. Porzingis is perfect for that. And they got so many different ways which they can beat you. Miami, the story changes without Jimmy Butler for sure. I still think that team will be competitive. They'll be bruising. They'll leave an impact and kind of make their mark on an every game basis. But I just don't think they can run with that Boston team. So I think that has very much sweet potential. Out of respect, I'll say Miami steals one.
Yeah, look, even Porzingis from the defensive side, it's just throw the hands up and you can't do anything. The dude's so long, and it's just it's a hell of a get by them to change that approach, and of course, giving up what they had to do to get him in there, and it's worked out. They're 64-18 in the regular season this year, and just a dominant game one performance. All right, if you had to pick a game two upset, where are you looking?
Game two upset. I think I'll go with
Sixers and Knicks.
Yeah, that's one. I think I'll go with the Magic as well. I think the Magic tied up 1-1 in that series. I think those are two pretty evenly matched teams. Also teams that I don't think are very legitimate, that I kind of have issues with both of the roster construction here. So I'll roll with the Magic to get the upset and make this a series. I think this one goes pretty deep. But there's a lot of I do like the underdog swinging back here. Don't shut down the Phoenix Suns either. I think that's going to be a deep series. So
really,
Timberwolves, yeah.
Why do you say that? Because I look at it the other way. I don't. You would expect some fight, of course, with the names there, Book and KD and all that, but the T-Wolves look like they're on another level. And I think it's on the other side when you have that conversation about that series. I don't think the Timberwolves are getting the proper respect.
I would agree with that overall. And Anthony Edwards, absolutely the real deal. The moment going viral of him chirping Kevin Durant is absolutely awesome. And that's what basketball is about. Like, just seeing him kind of going at the guy, everything. So I love everything about it, but I still think that, like, Kevin Durant will find a way. I do think that there will be some changes in the Suns team. I don't think they ultimately win the series most likely, but I do think that they push this a little bit. So I see them pushing this to 6 or 7. And I mean, Devin Booker is going to play far better than he did in game one. He had a really poor game. Bradley Beal has looked much more like Bradley Beal of late. So and Nurkic, by the way, is quietly had a pretty good season that I've been impressed with over there. Grayson Allen. So I like this Suns team. I think they got a little bit of juice in them still. The Timberwolves definitely were fueled by a ton of adrenaline, a ton of emotion in game one. But I do think that series isn't over yet, that this Suns will put them on the ropes at least a little.
All right. I will pull up some series prices here, but more on tonight's game. We got the Lakers and Nuggets. It's a 7-point spread, 223.5. Is there anything LeBron and company can do differently here? I just look at D'Angelo Russ. Same thing we talked about with the playing game.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're getting from the greats. AD and LeBron, they're going to deliver. It comes down to the other guys. And if Austin Reeves can't produce, give you a 20-plus point game, Rui can't give you 12 to 15, and D'Angelo Russell isn't hitting his threes, they're not going to win in Denver. Is it as simple as I made it sound to you?
Somewhat, yeah. I do think they keep it a game tonight. I do like the +7 in favor of the Lakers tonight. I think it's unlikely that they win outright, but I think there's a chance of it. They just straight up missed some shots in game one. And again, it does come down to that. It's a make or miss league, as we hear also frequently. But like, it's a completely different story that we're talking about right now if D'Angelo Russell doesn't shoot them out of that game and he just has an average shooting night. And he has been very good this year, that he's statistically from beyond the arc been one of the better players across the entire NBA. So I do think that it swings back a little bit. I think LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to keep it competitive. And the biggest change that I've kind of noticed is it's similar to how the Sixers faced off with Jokic, where they threw PJ Tucker at it and had Embiid as the roamer. The Lakers doing something similar, where they put Hachimura on it and are allowing Anthony Davis to be more of the paint patroller, the guy that can rotate. Now the Nuggets have the 3-point shooters that can absolutely punish you if you don't execute well on that. But that is more of what I expect. So I do think the Lakers keep it close and cover that +7 overall.
That's a ballsy bet. That's what that is right there. That's a ballsy bet. But like you said, this is the NBA playoff 7-game series, but this is a team that hasn't beat Denver in forever too, though. So how the hell are they going to just flip the script tonight and get the job done?
I mean, for kind of the larger conversation here is I do believe that this Lakers team has hit their stride as far as playing closest to their potential this year, especially of late. And I do think that this Nuggets team, while still definitely the best in the Western Conference and a very good team, I don't think they're quite what they were last year. So I think the gap has narrowed between these two teams, which I do think could lead to a longer series. I still think LeBron's got it. And you do see him flip the switch and turn it on in a way that is so impressive at this point in his career. Just in general, even if you take out that at this point in his career, just him as a basketball player being capable of doing those things. If Davis can impose himself inside, maybe get Jokic in a little bit of foul trouble, I think that is on the table. I do think they'll play through AD a little bit more than was the case early on in last game. So I can talk myself into this Lakers team, although the Nuggets just can also flip the switch like nobody. And when their offense gets humming, there's really nothing you can do. So for me, watch how the Lakers come out pretty early in this one, and that will decide a ton. But I do give them a puncher's chance at keeping this a game.
Last time the Lakers beat the Denver Nuggets, December 16, 2022.
Wow.
They lost 8 straight. They're 9-1 in their last 10 here. And
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening just how good Denver is, the machine. And that was a good game, good first half. And then the Denver Nuggets were able to handle business in the second half. All right, those are the 3 games this evening. Hit on a little bit with the Suns and the Timberwolves, Pacers, and the Bucks. The Mavs and the Clippers, that's coming up tomorrow. And then game 2s for the Miami Heat and the New Orleans Pelicans coming up here on Wednesday. Quickly on the Thunder. Had to squeak it out against the New Orleans Pelicans. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about how Chet Holmgren struggles against big body centers, and I thought Valanciunas did a nice job imposing himself last night. Disappointing CJ McCollum coming up short with the buzzer beater at the end. I was kind of rooting for just the excitement of that because, as I mentioned, it was a little bit of a lame day of basketball yesterday with all the blowouts. So at least that was one that left a good taste in our mouth. I think the Thunder are going to be fine. I think they had a couple stretches where they didn't look good. I still think that this is going to be a series that the Pelicans match up better with this team, a lot better than people are giving credit. And that's even without Zion here. So I think this is going to be a fight, but overall, not like a huge red flag for me for this Thunder team.
7.5-point spread. It's what it was in game 1. So here we are again, running it back. Game 2 here, 7.5. Game being played in OKC again, really tight down the stretch, kind of with you in there. Chet finished with 15. SGA finished with 28. Anything else from that game? New Orleans again. You had McCollum there. He finished with 20. He was 9 of 22. But that was really it. It was a low-scoring ball game in 94-92. So not a lot of action in that one. But we were pulling for the upset. All right, game 2 tonight. Sixers and Knicks. Anything from the standpoint of, are we looking at somebody that's going to produce? Let's take a look at some of the player props here on DraftKings Sportsbook. You said Kelly Oubre. He's a guy that needs to fill in a little bit more here, especially if Joel Embiid isn't going to be 100%, which I don't think anyone is going to sit here and say he will be. 12.5 for Oubre. He's got to go over if the Sixers want a shot.
Yep, I do like that number quite a bit. That's probably my favorite player prop in this matchup. There's also, we talked a ton about rebounding. I'm looking at Kelly for that too, that you can get the over 5.5 at +120. He just simply has to. And he's proven capable of clearing that number in a lot of games this year. He's had a couple double-doubles, couple 8 and 9 rebound games. I do think that he clears that 5.5. So I like that as well. Also, as a whole, the rebounding numbers. I think Kyle Lowry at over 3.5 is worth taking a little. That's +105 odds. I also like Joel Embiid 3-pointers that we've mentioned since he's come back from the knee injury, that he's made it much more of a focus to kind of shoot those long range shots. He's had he finished the season with 4 straight games, which he hit over 2 or more 3-pointers. Had games where he shot 9 attempts from beyond the arc, which is pretty rare from him. That is at I believe it's at over 1.5. It looked a little juiced last I saw, but I even think you can play with the alternate there. So minus 130 at over 1.5. I also don't mind if you want to jump into like the 3 at plus 205. I do think he makes it a focus of keeping the floor spread, taking what the defense gives you and shooting those perimeter shots. So I think if you want to get involved in Joel Embiid, that's the way to do it tonight.
Yeah, and it's just so tough from Maxey's standpoint because I just don't know what his health is, but he's going to give it a go. He'll be out there playing tonight, but are we going to look at an MJ flu game? Are we looking at, 2024 flu? Because I know that knocks people on their asses for a couple of days. My wife just had it. So, I'm not going to sit here and say anything about Maxey until we have an opportunity to see him take that floor.
By the way, get that man some vitamin C. Get him some emergency, man. This is the 3rd time he's been sick this year. Like, what are we doing here? And I get your travel and I get all that stuff, but it's like, we got to be pumping that guy with as many vitamins. Yeah. Get him as many vitamins as we got.
He's 23 years old. Yeah, like my immune system has taken a hit because of everything I've done over the years. I'm 43. I'll be 43 next week. This is unacceptable. I agree. I kid. He's fighting through it. He'll be out there tonight. We'll see what happens. Sean Bedard, great stuff. Enjoy the game, sir. We will be rolling live on Thursday from Knicks roast beef. How about that? We got thrown one by the basketball gods, finally giving us a little something positive there. We'll be live game 3. We're live for the NFL draft at Knicks roast beef all the way up in Woodhaven Road. And all I know is the next, the schedule comes out Sixers Thursday night. So little twofer. We're going to start at 7:30. We're going to be there for the NFL draft. And of course the Sixers game 3. We'll see what happens tonight. A lot to cheer for. Hopefully Joel Embiid can play through this and not have to miss too much time, and Tyrese Maxey can be out there as much as possible, and they show some fight. If the Sixers can show some fight, be physical, not get absolutely dominated. Well, I don't think anybody was surprised that the Knicks out-rebound them. That's what they do, but it was just the way that everything came out. That was not anything we want to sign off on. But we'll look forward to that game on Thursday, game 3. But bottom line is tonight, must win for the 76ers. Sean Bedard, enjoy the game. Good luck on your plays. We'll catch up later, my friend.
Yep, appreciate it. And that's my last sign-off moment is that this team will not roll over. I do believe that people should get that through their brain, that's kind of the difference in the identity a lot of these guys. So don't expect them to go down with a fight. Sixers and 6.
I'll play the song for you tomorrow if they come away with the win. You the man. There he is, Sean Bedard on the Gambler Stream, joining us, talking all things Sixers and Knicks. All right, good stuff there. This is a do or die game for me. This is where I'm at. They need to find a way to win a game if they want to extend this series. Otherwise, I just don't think that people are going to be rah-rah'd up for game 3, and that home court advantage won't really be a factor. Let's just put it that way. A lot to chew on, though, as far as NBA playoff hoops. Folks, DraftKings Sportsbook is where I'm getting my odds from, and you should as well. Take advantage of all of their great offers that they have. They're rolling out JJ Redick's 3 furs out there, which is a pretty cool promo that they're rolling out there. A wager of $5 to get you $200 in free bets instantly. That's for new users out there. Make sure you use Brace as the promo code. Let them know that you're listening to us here on the Daily Ticket. Once again, DraftKings Sportsbook, Brace as the promo code. Daily Ticket, rolling on.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Monday drive home, we're chatting up on the Schuylkill westbound University Teach Boulevard to Belmont and Gladwood to Conshohocken, eastbound heavy Blue Route to Belmont and Montgomery Drive to South. The Vine Expressway westbound back to Broad to the Schuylkill, eastbound side up Schuylkill 95 northbound Jan Allegheny up to Bridge, southbound 95 Jan Academy to the Betsy Ross from an earlier crash, then backed up Ridley Park to the Commodore Barry. Blue Route northbound Jan 95 past McDayton, southbound delays approaching Broomall to Media Swarthmore. Lara Tutela, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. Mother's Day is coming up, and Macy's Backstage has amazing deals on great gifts that mom is going to love, all for $15 and under. Get low prices every day at